O's,
One second.
oh, sorry.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the January 17th meeting of the Montgomery County House Delegation. We have a fairly light agenda today. Appreciate my colleagues joining this morning. On our agenda today, we do have a late filed bill, MC 16-25. And I will note, colleagues, that in order our procedures for our delegation say that to accept a late filed bill, we do have to vote, and at least 2/3 of us do need to be in agreement. So first, we do need to take up the matter of, are we accepting this bill as late filed? Is there a motion?
I move to accept the bill, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. So that was moved by Delegate Kaufman and seconded by Delegate Wu. Is there any discussion? Delegate Frazier Hidalgo.
Yes, I don't mean to be a pain, but I would like to know why the bill is being late filed.
Fair enough. I'm not sure if, let's see. So our primary bill sponsor had said that there was a conflict, but I think Delegate Moon can speak to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologies. Delegate Charkoudian is leading this bill for our District 20 team. She unfortunately is called away to a funeral today, so we are standing in, but this is a team bill, and we do apologize. Our senator is to blame for the delay getting this in front of you. But in truth, it actually came out of very, very late angry constituent meetings that we caught after the bill drop deadline, unfortunately. But the businesses in the downtown Silver Spring zone are getting almost at their wits' end with some of the lack of help they're feeling with the business obstruction. So again, we caught heat on this late after the bill filing deadline and wanted to at least get a responsive vehicle in for the folks we met with to try and air their concerns with the state on this project. So apologies for the delay, but we hope you'll indulge us. It's a pretty small and straightforward bill, whether it passes or not. So, but we do apologize for skipping the Rockville hearing.
Thank you, Delegate Moon. Is there further discussion on the motion to accept the bill as late filed? Okay, not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor of, and I'll note, if you do want to vote, you do need to have your camera on. Okay, so all those in favor of accepting the bill as late filed, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think I see everyone's hands up. Anyone opposed? No? Okay, so that passes unanimously. We will accept the bill as late filed, which means we're going to proceed to have the hearing on the legislation, and the bill has been assigned to our Economic Development Committee, and I'm going to turn it over to Chair Foley to run our hearing, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Moon outlined the bill a little bit, but I will now call on Delegate Moon to formally present the bill for hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, colleagues. Basically, as you'll know, there's ongoing obstruction to parking, business entrances, sidewalks, and the like, in a number of the Purple Line construction zones. In Montgomery County, a particular portion of the downtown Silver Spring business district is particularly obstructed with staging areas, scaffolding, and all sorts of things, and there's a very bad business impact. There have been various state and county grant monies to hit businesses in Prince George's and Montgomery, but if I'm frank, those funds get swallowed up quickly. There's a lot of businesses, and even with the rounds of funding, some have missed out on them. And so the last small, it may not be sustainable or scalable just to keep pumping unlimited funds into that kind of grant program. And so we were able to identify a very narrow concern, which is about parking. They've asked, can we at least do something to salvage some sort of parking for their remaining customers as this goes on? And this is a county function, and there has been a seeming unwillingness from the county, given their multiple competing interests for parking zone changes, that they were unable to get the relief there, at least at the time being. So we're trying to open a conversation here with this grant fund. It's contemplated to be administered in one of two ways, either by relieving the revenue loss the county thinks it will get by doing things like letting people have 2 hours parking or what instead of one, or whatever lost enforcement revenue they're getting from the tickets. Or the simpler one that's a Park Mobile parking zone down in downtown Silver Spring. And so the other possibility is just to have parking validation codes through Park Mobile as a possible grant process for the businesses. But this is really just the opening stages to launch this conversation with the county about whether we can do something better. And we're obviously trying to do the minimal fiscal note on this.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Moon. Delegate Moon, do you have any witnesses on this bill?
I do not believe so.
Okay, thank you. I
And
didn't.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, there actually are 2 witnesses, but if you
Oh,
want to take the
never
question
mind.
from Delegate.
I will. I just didn't know if there were witnesses. Okay, Delegate Corman has his hand up. Delegate Corman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I mean, Delegate Moon, obviously a lot of people have been involved. I do want to lift up Delegate Wilkins for the broader program because she was banging on me when I was delegation chair to make sure that got done. And now you're banging on Chair Polakovich-Carr, so that's great. I think there is a drafting error in the bill. It calls for an FY26 mandated appropriation. And I think we currently have the FY26 budget in our possession. So I do not think you can mandate an FY26 appropriation. So I don't know if you have a response to that or want to work that out, but I think that's just sort of a drafting error in the bill.
Okay, no, appreciate it. Like I said, this is sort of coming fast, and we're trying to get a conversation started here so we can try and clean that up.
Okay, before we move to witnesses, are there any other questions for the sponsor at this time? Seeing none, we will now move to witnesses on this bill. I'm sorry, I don't have the list, so I don't know who they are. Chair Polakovich-Carr, could you call on the first witness, please?
Yes, and my apologies, Chair Foley, and I'll say, colleagues, sometimes we're building the airplane as we're flying it. So I think up first is Stephanie Helsing, and I see her on the call. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you guys very much for allowing me to be here today. And of course, I've lost my testimony, so give me a moment here, please. What is happening with my computer? So my name is Stephanie Helsing, and I am the president and CEO of the Greater Silver Spring Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Chamber, who represents 320 some odd employees, mostly small and minority-owned businesses in the Greater Silver Spring area, we are submitting these comments of strong support for MC 1625. And we would really like to start off by thanking Delegates Moon, Wilkins, and Charkutian for their tireless support of Silver Spring and Montgomery County as a whole. It's the Chamber's position that this legislation will have a positive impact on the Silver Spring businesses most directly impacted by the ongoing Purple Line construction. With the completion of the project still years away, the viability of these businesses has been directly and negatively impacted through no fault of their own. Furthermore, given that the project itself was in partnership with the state, we would like to advocate that continued funding for these businesses from the state continue till the project's completion. The Chamber has heard from businesses themselves as well as residents whose wonders why this project has taken so long, number one, and why things look the way they do. Hearing about loss of contractors, improper budgeting, and underground utility challenges does little to nothing to dispel their real fear of losing their businesses after having already endured almost 5 years of construction still. We recently had an affordability issue with increased costs for parking as well as length of hours that are required for payment. And this has become a daily hurdle impacting the business's customers. Improving parking actually will allow patrons to more conveniently access these businesses. And it seems like a small ask in our eyes in the scheme of things, given that they've borne the brunt of this project, unlike any other business community on the entire track's trajectory. In summation, the Chamber wants all businesses to succeed, and we believe that this MC 1625 bill, which would establish the Silver Spring Purple Line Construction Zone Grant Program to provide funding for parking options, begins to address the financial needs created for some of the businesses in the downtown Silver Spring caused by the ongoing Purple Line construction. Unfettered access is ultimately the key to a thriving business community and a thriving Silver Spring, which at present doesn't really exist in very large areas of downtown Silver Spring, and frankly, it won't exist for years. Improving parking in the area might help prevent the loss of jobs and tax revenue if a business is forced to close. I think it's also important for
Ms.
people to
Helsing, if you could
realize.
please wrap up, your time is up.
Yes, I'm actually at the end, sorry. It's also important for people to realize that I'm not talking about corporate entities here. These are small local businesses, some who have existed on that street for 40 years. So again, we would just like to put in our word and advocate for this allocation. Again, we would like to express our heartfelt appreciation and thanks to Delegates Moon, Wilkins, and Charcudian for your continued support of Silver Spring and taking action when you saw a glaring need being unaddressed. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. And if you'll just stand by, we have one more witness and then we'll go to questions. We have a Daniel Muhije who's signed up, but I don't see anyone by that name in the Zoom room.
Yes, hello.
Yes, please go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is my name is Daniel Moyjoy. I'm the executive director for Fenton Village, home of 240 businesses in Silver Spring, Maryland. Fenton Village is a nonprofit dedicated to preserving and enhancing the vibrancy and diversity of the electric neighborhood. I'm here to testify in favor of MC 16-25 about the parking situation in downtown Silver Spring, Maryland. I just started my role in this position 9 months ago. I'm also a business owner, and I've seen the decline in business since the construction has started and is not getting any better. Certain streets are filled with construction and businesses cannot move. This is actually driving businesses away from downtown Silver Spring. The county loses money from the taxes collected from the businesses. Downtown, especially in Fenton Village, has been hit the most in this construction, happening on both sides of Georgia Avenue. If you've been to downtown Silver Spring, you know what I'm talking about. Then you add the purple line, which makes things a lot worse. And honestly, when you add the changes of the hours, the increase in price, as Stephanie has said, it really is not a conducive place for a business, and it deters customers away from coming to downtown Silver Spring. They rather go to, DC or Bethesda or somewhere else. So, to save our businesses, we have to really. I'm advocating for this bill. Businesses on averages have been down, and many businesses are closing and are back on rent. One of our beloved businesses, Urban Butcher and El Sapo, recently just closed their door last month. And sooner, if we don't act on this bill, a lot of businesses will be losing their business. So please, I'm here again to testify in support and thank all the delegates who helped put this bill together. I know it was last minute, but thank you again. And that's the end of my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair Palakovich Carr. Are there any questions for the witnesses? Seeing none, that concludes the hearing on MC 16-25. I'll turn it back to our delegation chair.
Thank you, Chair Foley. And just a note for the public, if there are other thoughts on this legislation, our delegation will continue to accept written testimony on the bill. There's information on the delegation website as to how to submit that to our delegation administrator, who will distribute it to members of the delegation. Just a couple announcements, colleagues, before we wrap up for today. So just a note, I know there was some confusion for several members of the delegation about the start time today. We do ask you to hold starting at 9 a.m. on Fridays, but please do listen to the announcements that I make on the House floor on Thursdays about the start time, as well as our administrator does send an email out a day or two in advance of the delegation meeting. Please have your staff check that email carefully for what the actual start time is for the meeting. We will start at 9, but days like today, when it is a very light agenda, we might move things around a little bit. Second, I do just want to note that this week we did have, I believe, 5 bills that were withdrawn from consideration for the delegation. That is all posted on the website. If folks ever want to see the current status of any bill, that is all kept up to date on our website, and folks can look at the legislation page to track what is going on with any particular piece of legislation. And lastly, let me check with our committee chairs to see if they have any announcements. Yes, Delegate Spiegel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Land Use, Transportation, and Public Safety Committee will meet via Zoom at noon on Monday.
Thank you. Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Economic Development Committee will meet at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday via Zoom.
Thank you. Delegate Mercury North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Washington Area Metro Committee will be meeting at 6:30 on Monday.
Thank you. And Delegate Ziegler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Education, Elections, and Housing Subcommittee will meet at noon on Zoom this coming Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, a note to the whole delegation, those meetings should be fairly standard week to week. So make sure that your staff have blocked those off on your calendars, not just for this coming week, but going forward as well until we have cleared the deck of all of the bills that our delegation is considering this session. All right. Any other announcements or other business today? All right. Not seeing anyone.